North Korea. When someone thinks of this country, they depict a picture of people suffering, a dead economy, and the one and only Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader who rules this country. We know that this country lacks basic amenities and is very cruel in their law. But how is their economy running? Let's discuss how does North Korea make money in today's video of Discover Zen. North Korea. Officially, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It's a country in East Asia, constituting the northern part of the Korean peninsula. The country is bordered to the north by China and by Russia along the Amnuk, known as the Yalu in Chinese, and Tumen rivers, and to the south by South Korea, with a heavily fortified Korean Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, separating the two. North Korea, like its southern counterpart, claims to be the legitimate government of the entire peninsula and adjacent islands. Pyongyang is the country's capital and largest city. The economy of North Korea is a centrally planned economy, where the role of market allocation schemes is limited, although increasing. As of 2020, North Korea continues its basic adherence to a centralized command economy. There has been some economic liberalization, particularly after Kim Jong-un assumed leadership in 2012, but reports conflict over particular legislation and enactment. The collapse of the Eastern Bloc from 1989 to 1991, particularly North Korea's principal source of support, the Soviet Union, forced the North Korean economy to realign its foreign economic relations, including increased economic exchanges with South Korea. China is the country's largest trading partner. The country's ideology of Juche has resulted in pursuing autarky in an environment of international sanctions. While the current North Korean economy is still dominated by state-owned industry and collective farms, foreign investments and cooperative autonomies have slightly increased. North Korea had a similar GDP per capita to its neighbor South Korea from the aftermath of the Korean War until the mid-1970s, but had a GDP per capita of less than $2,000 in the late 1990s and early 21st century. For 2018, the Bank of Korea estimated the GDP growth as negative 4.1%. The government of North Korea determines what goods should be produced, how much should be produced, and the price at which the goods are offered for sale. Now, let's look at some of the history of North Korea. Korea was historically an independent kingdom. However, following the Russo-Japanese War, the Korean peninsula was formally annexed by the Japanese. It remained a Japanese colony from 1905 to 1945. After World War II, the Japanese forces in the northern region of Korea surrendered to the Soviet Union, and Soviet troops took control of the northern region of the country. At the same time, American troops took charge of the southern region. The newly separated regions appointed their respective leaders, and in 1950, North Korean leader Kim Il-sung, backed by the leadership of the Soviet Union, made an attempt to capture the US-backed southern region of Korea, sparking the Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953. Kim Il-sung's attempted to capture the southern region of Korea and bring the entire peninsula under his communist rule was ultimately unsuccessful. The resulting stalemate split the Korean peninsula roughly in half. North Korea estimated its national economy through heavy industry first development and military economy parallel development. South Korea established one of the world's most advanced modern-day economies. The first phase of North Korea's economic development, following the division of the formerly unified kingdom, was dominated by industrialization. This was a difficult task, considering the damage to the infrastructure of the country weathered during the Korean War. North Korea assumed the Soviet model of governance and centrally planned socialist economics, as well as the ideology of self-reliance. The model emphasized the development of heavy industry and investments in the iron, steel, cement, and machine tool sectors. Many experts believe that these policies of the North Korean government, beginning in the aftermath of the Korean War, have been an obstacle to the country's economic development. The shortcomings of these policies were accentuated by the regime's focus on Sungguan, a style of military-first politics which has worsened North Korea's chronic economic problems. In the decades following the war, there has been consistent stagnation in the region's industrial and power output. The country's economy entered one of its worst phases of stagnation and almost collapsed in the 1990s. The disintegration of the Soviet Union, followed by a food crisis in the aftermath of a series of natural disasters, hailstorms in 1994, flooding from 1995 to 1996, and droughts from 1997, pushed North Korea into an economic crisis. Between 1990 and 1998, the country experienced an average annual growth of negative 4.1%. The country became the recipient of international food and humanitarian aid beginning in the mid-1990s. The aid continues even today. In the 2000s, North Korea expanded its tactics for recovering its economy. In 2002, it eased some restrictions in order to allow semi-private markets and launched a series of economic reforms that it referred to as economic management improved measures. Some of these measures included an increase in both prices and wages, a shift in price-fixing mechanisms, changes in the distribution system, decentralization of national planning, an increase of autonomy in enterprise management, the opening of distribution market for production methods, differentiated distribution, and social security system reform. Economic growth picked up for a few years, and this period was considered an improvement over the previous decade. From 2000 to 2005, North Korea grew at an average rate of 2.2%. The GDP of North Korea is estimated to be $40 billion in 2015, according to the CIA's World Factbook, which has not given any update of GDP information since that date. In terms of GDP per capita, North Korea had a per capita of $1,700. Agricultural accounts 22.5% of their GDP. Industry accounts for 47.6%, and services account for 29.6%. The country still makes significant investments into its military, and some analysts claim that this expense may come at a cost of its economic development. In 2016, the last year for which estimates were available, North Korea spent an estimated $4 billion, or approximately 24% of its GDP, on defense spending. Today, China is North Korea's main trading partner. North Korea relies on China for both economic and diplomatic assistance. In 2017, close to 86% of the region's exports from North Korea were directed to China. The country's main exports are metallurgical products, minerals, manufactured products, textiles, and agricultural and fishery products. The main import items for North Korea are petroleum, cooking coal, machinery, equipment, textiles, and grain. More than 90% of the region's total imports came from China in 2017. North Korea is known to be secretive, and it does not release economic data. The region has not published any official indicators or statistics on its macroeconomic conditions since 1965. The few sources for basic statistics on North Korean economy include the Bank of Korea and the Ministry of Unification and Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency, for trade information specifically. North Korea is a primary source of labor for foreign governments, most often Russia and China. North Koreans do not have a choice in the work the government assigns them, cannot change jobs, and face punishment from the government if they try to escape their forced labor. Now that we have some ideas about how North Korea makes money, let's discuss a different topic. How do the pirates in Somalia make money? Well, that sounds like a different video to investigate on DiscoverZen.